I want to begin by thanking all those who have served and sacrificed, for our country, making it, such so that we can enjoy living in the greatest country in the world. So thank you to all those veterans out there and honoring them today on Veterans Day. Getting ready for Florida, certainly going to the swamp is always a challenge and certainly a difficult place to play. Really give a quick recap on the Alabama game. Incredible atmosphere. Our fans came out. They were incredible, created a great atmosphere. Wish we could have certainly helped in that with our play. Certainly the turnovers were big parts of the game. And certainly at the end of the day, Alabama is a fine football team. They played well. They were consistent. And look, they did a really good job of self-scouting and making a decision as to who they were going to be in this game. They came out with a purpose and wanting to control the line of scrimmage, which they did. Ran the football effectively, obviously, and were consistent in what they did. We were inconsistent, and that really is the difference. So when you're scratching your head or you're thinking about what happened in this game, you had a really good football team in Alabama that went back in the bye week and said, you know what, this is who we're going to be. They came out and were consistent in what they wanted to be in this game, took care of the football, controlled the line of scrimmage, and our response was that we were inconsistent. We had an opportunity to score a touchdown on the first drive. We weren't able to secure a catch. We turned the football over. We had chances to get off the field on third down. At times we weren't in the right alignments. So our guys were up for the fight. They were competitive. They played hard, but that's not good enough if you're not consistent. And as coaches, we've got to help our guys become more consistent. And then our players have to execute more consistently on a day-to-day basis, and on a play-to-play basis. So if you're wondering what happened, you had a really good football team that played consistent, and then you had another team that had the will and desire but did not play consistently, marked by the examples that I just gave you. So that's the recap. Going back to the Florida game, certainly an opportunity for us to get on the winning ways with our football team. Look, this is the same exact place we were last year, right? Coming off of a loss. And so I'm going to get asked the question, what do you have to play for, all of these things. You could ask Ole Miss that when they went and beat Georgia, right? There's nothing to play for. Now they've put themselves with 2 losses, and what they feel is in the mix. We're in the same position. We've got 2 losses. Let's see where it ends up at the end of the year. What's more important is that we have to play more consistent offense, defense, and special teams. That's what's most important, not the playoffs, not anything else. Consistency in the way we play in and play out is the most important thing. Against the Florida team that, certainly, has shown their ability to play consistent. They had a great game against Kentucky. They've played physical football. They're getting some players back from the injury list. And again, as I mentioned, playing on the road in the SEC is no easy feat. So, again, this is about us. This is about us and our consistency and going on the road and certainly looking forward to playing a consistent brand of football. So with that, we'll open up to questions.
Yeah, Coach, right here. It looks like DJ Lagow, Florida's quarterback's going to try to give it a go this week in practice. Just what do you, go about preparing for the potential of seeing 2 guys in this game?
Yeah, you have to prepare for both, right? I mean, it's certainly a quarterback that has a talent that we've seen on film in terms of what he does. We haven't had a lot of games, but we know of him. He can throw the football. He throws a great ball. He's athletic. And certainly we'll prepare for both quarterbacks.
Hey, Coach, after the game, you said your team fought to the end. The effort is there. The last two games, are any concerns about physicality, toughness, those kind of things?
No, look, at the end of the day, the guys are who they are, right? When we're in there fighting as hard as we can, it's hard to overcome a lot of mistakes that are being made, but we have to help them also. We got to put them in position to succeed as well. So part of this, as I said after the game, is as coaches, we have to do a great job of putting them in a position that they can succeed, because these are our guys. And then, they've got to be cleaner in the execution. So it's both working together. Our coaches have got to be able to do a great job of being more consistent in getting them in the best position to succeed. And then they have to be more consistent in their execution on a play-to-play basis. So, it's looking at it from both lenses.
Hey, Coach, how would you evaluate Joe Sloan's season so far up to this point?
I don't evaluate coordinators during the season. I think everybody, gets a chance to, second guess a play call here or there. That's the nature of the business, right? What we want to be is more consistent in the running game. And I think I've made that clear. And we've got to, clearly do that. And Joe understands that. And so the focus has been, and it was going into this game, to create more opportunities in the run game. I thought we did that. We need to do more of it. I thought we created more misdirection within the offense. We need to do more of it. So sequencing the run game with the passing game is absolutely crucial. So we can take some of the pressure, as I've mentioned in other press conferences, off of Nussmeier. So we don't throw it 50 times. We need more balance within the offense.
If you are who you are over the course of these next three games, how much of it is correctable?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
If you said you are who you are, right? The roster's not going to change. You can't
Yeah.
really do it. So how much of it is fixable over the next three games? Is it alignment assignment issues, or is it something that's going to take an off season to maybe, make some roster changes, coaching staff changes, those kinds of things?
No, look, I think it's reasonable to look at, how we can, put our players in better positions to succeed each and every week, You always are going to have to deal with injuries, within your roster, and you have to have the next man up mentality. But that doesn't mean you can't, as coaches, always look to how you can be better at getting your players to be the best versions of themselves. So what do we have to do to help Nuss? And that's run the ball better. That's going to be something that can happen right away. What can we do to help in the quarterback run game? Can we play more multiple coverage looks? Can we be in different fronts? I know if you watch, we played some 5-down defensive fronts, to help in those situations. So I think there's always the opportunity to grow and get better in the season. And as I said, there's a lot for this football team to look forward to. We've got, the opportunity to, again, finish the season strong and look towards a minimum of a 10-win season again. And that's important to this program, a standard that has been set that we want to continue to work towards that goal.
Coach, do you expect Garrett Dellinger to practice this week? And what did you see from Paul Mabenga playing in his place against Alabama?
I thought Paul did some good things. He moves his feet very well. His insertion into the lineup for a first-time starter, we were pleased with what he did, and I think he's only going to improve from that experience. Garrett will go out and run today, and we'll get a better sense of where he's at after today's workout.
Brian, obviously the sport's biggest spotlight was on you guys on Saturday night. ESPN's College Game Day was here, all the bells and whistles. For you guys to come out and perform the way you did, how do you sort of spin that? How do you keep more positivity out of what happened versus letting some negativity slip in there?
Yeah, so it's 21-6, and we've got the ball all the way down on the 5-yard line, poised to score, and unfortunately we have a turnover. We're ready to make that a one-score game. with 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. And despite that, as I mentioned, we don't score a touchdown on the first drive where we, could have easily converted there. We turned the football over. We made a multitude of mistakes, and we're still in a position to make that a one-score game. So we know what we need to do. There's no, what happened. We know exactly what happened. As coaches, we got to put our players in a better position through whether it's scheme or through the ability to move guys in a position that makes them more successful. And then we have to execute at a higher level. And that is an attention to detail on the fine details of the game itself. And if we do that, that has been a ticket for success for us. And when we haven't, i.e. 6 turnovers as, one example of a reason why we've lost 2 games, the last 2 games. And that's just one reason why we haven't won the last 2 games.
Brian, I'm sure you can appreciate how fans are and how reactionary they can be. And you can probably understand this, people's faith is shaken a little bit in the program and where things are going. Is your faith still where that you've done this for a long time and you know what it takes to win? Are you just as confident as you were at the start of the season, earlier this season when you guys won 6 straight, that you know where you need to go, just might take some more time to get there?
So did we not win 14 consecutive games at night? I think we won 14 consecutive and we lost our first game. I would say that from that perspective, the odds are that I'm feeling pretty confident that we know what we're doing. Am I happy about what would happen? No. And our players? No. Nobody is. Especially, when you have an opportunity, as I just mentioned, to get that game into a one-score game and have a chance to come back and win the game. Nobody's happy about that. But when it comes to an overall look at the program, we're, over the last year, we're 10-3. We won 10 out of our last 13 games. So I'm not in a position to worry about what people are saying about the overall health of the program. We have one of the top recruiting classes in the country. Those things are only going to continue to get better. And a championship program is what we're going to have here. There's going to be some stumbles along the way, but we're going to get back up and we're going to keep building our program towards where it needs to be, and that's a championship program.
I have 2 if I can. Was there an issue with Kaden Durham in the second half? He was pretty effective in the first half, and I don't remember seeing as much of him in the second half.
No, he played in the second half as well. He was in there some high leverage situations, especially in third down. We were getting a lot more pressure. Josh is a little bit more seasoned in some of the pressure situations that we get. We were getting some 7-up and some active pressure situations, and Josh is a little bit more experienced in some blitz pickup situations, so it might have been that.
This is a very novice question, but I'm just curious. Is a spying the quarterback against a running quarterback, is that effective, and if not, why?
Well, it wasn't in the instances of the 2 long runs. A spy would not have been what we were looking for in those situations. These were quarterback-designed runs where we didn't leverage the football in the manner that we needed to in both of those instances. One of them, Blake would probably tell you he'd like to have that call back in terms of what the defensive call was. The other one, there was just too much air in the defense. We got condensed down pretty good on the front. And, the duality of playing man sometimes, when that back comes out of the backfield, you don't know whether he's running a wheel route or whether he's going to kick you out. So we were a little hesitant in setting the edge. And then we lost a little bit of leverage on the quarterback. He cut back on both our inside linebacker and our safety. We've got to have better leverage on the ball.
You guys were a lot more creative in the run game this week. Do you think that would have been more effective if the game was a little bit more in reach in the second half? Were you satisfied with the way you guys sort of mixed in some?
Yeah,
stuff there?
I would have liked to. I would have liked to been a little bit more with the outside zone. I mean, look, I'm not here to sit here and critique, the entire game plan, but we got behind 35-6 there, and you got to get back into it quickly, and probably got outside the run game a little bit quicker than I would have liked. We would have liked to have been more consistent with the run game, and the game itself in terms of what happened in the fourth quarter was, had to throw it a little bit too much. But the mantra moving forward and the what we want to be is it's got to be more consistency to the run game, and as I mentioned, Coach knows that, and he knows what I want from him.
Coach, you've had multiple offensive series in recent weeks where Durham is a key factor with long runs, yet when you get in the red zone, he's not in the game. Is there a lack of confidence in him in the red zone? You mentioned previously that more seasoned, but is that the main factor?
Are you saying? Yeah, again, I'd have to know what plays we're talking about, and specifically, you're giving me an example of maybe when he wasn't in the game, but there's no preconceived notion that we've got to take him out of the game when we get into the red or blue zone in those kinds of situations. Frank is moving those backs in and out of the game based upon, what the particular plays are. But no, there's no kind of thought process that, hey, we're in the blue zone now, let's get him out of the game. If we have anything, it's we believe in his ability in that area to score touchdowns.
Coach, after last year's LSU-Alabama game, maybe it's easy to say stop Milroe from running, but with a week to prepare and everything, are you surprised it happened again and to the extent it happened?
Well, I think I just went over some of the things that, we knew what was coming, and we had the people in position. We got to go make some plays too, right? I mean, but I will, I want everybody to know that, players make plays, right? But coaches can also help and assist, giving those players an opportunity to be more aggressive too. Like, for example, as I said, the back's coming out of the backfield, right? Is he running a wheel route, or is he coming to block me and kick me out? Well, if I'm in man-to-man coverage, maybe I'm a little hesitant because I think it's a wheel route. But if I'm in cover two, maybe I can be much more aggressive in meeting that back in the backfield. So as coaches, we've got to mix some things up as well. As I talked to Blake about it, he understands that as well. So, look, we're going to take full responsibility and accountability for what we need to do as coaches in terms of helping our players be in a better position, and then our players got to take responsibility for when we put you in position, you got to make the plays. And so it's a little bit of both in terms of stopping the quarterback. We knew what we needed to do relative to what Alabama did against us.
On the 72-yard rush from Milroe that essentially closed out the game, was that more of were you guys sending the safeties on a blitz there, or was that a leveraging issue on that play?
I think you could probably read into my comments earlier that I think if we had to do it all over again, we would want a different call in that situation. Yeah.
What has Florida done well? You see the rigors of this conference and how roller coaster can be. What have they done well to kind of weather the storm and get to this point?
Well, I think, first of all, they've weathered an incredible storm of injuries. A lot of injuries on the back end of their defense. They've stuck together. And I think in large degree, Coach Napier's kept his football team fighting every week with a lot of injuries. They've lost two quarterbacks, playing with a third or a fourth quarterback. Back end of their defense has been decimated, and they keep playing hard. So we're going to get that same team at home against LSU. So you know what that's going to be. They're going to play their tails off and be, the best version of themselves. So I think that that's what they're doing well. They're staying together as a team. They're playing hard, and we're going to have to match that kind of intensity from the very first snap.
Hey, Coach, in the last 4 games, you've gone pretty heavily on defensive snap counts with some veteran guys. I think you talked maybe about going to that open by looking at the film and deciding who you're going to roll with.
Yep.
You weren't going to roll players as much. In the final 3 games, is there an opportunity to get some of those younger guys more snaps, maybe who were playing earlier? Do you look at any of that rotation?
I mean, I think we have, from a defensive standpoint, Matt, it is all hands on deck. If we feel like you can help us, we have already identified the players that if they can help us, the 4-game situation relative to redshirting is out the window. So if we feel like there's a player that can come in and help our defense, we've already talked to the young man. We've already got clearance. We've already said, can we play you? And they've said, yes, I'm not worried about my red shirt. So anybody that plays from now on out, it's that they've got games remaining not to hit that 4-game threshold, or they've given us clearance to do that. We're going to play them. So this isn't like, hey, let's try to redshirt somebody for next year. This is all hands on deck. Anybody that can contribute or help this football team, we're going to put them on the field.
Shelton Samson, someone who has played a decent amount of snaps, but I still don't think he has a catch on the year. What does he sort of bring to the offense that is maybe a different look for defenses, or what does he bring to the table, essentially?
Well, I mean, he's got size. I mean, look, I mean, he's trying to fight into a lineup that, Xavier Thomas has taken a lot of his snaps there. Chris is trying to get some of those snaps. Chris Hilton's trying to get some of the same snaps. So you have a lot of depth there, right? And so this is much more about a competitive situation more than what he's not doing. It's much more is that there's other players there that are stealing those snaps, and he's got to go take them from them. Good, thank you.